Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Here's my boomstick!
Game over, man. It's game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he is your co-host, Sandra Luketic. And today we're talking 1988's Bloodsport. We assume if you're listening to this episode, you have already seen the movie. Classic fucking action movie. But before we get into that, I can see you, man.
Yeah, we are recording this live, pre-recorded, but in person from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Welcome, buddy. It's been a fun weekend, man. A very arduous, fun weekend.
So, why did we watch Bloodsport?
It wasn't my pick.
It wasn't my pick. It was Derek's pick. This is the September fan pick. So as per usual, I did ask the question, or I didn't ask, it's in the questionnaire, why was this movie picked? Now for those who don't remember, Derek did have a previous fan pick. It was The Last Dragon. So another martial arts movie. This time around, he said, first of all, Derek, just for you, and just this one time, the LBJ Witness. Right? It's the only time it's happening. I'm not doing it again. This movie furthered my love and training in martial arts, since I could not afford them as a kid.
Derek knows martial arts?
Mm-hmm.
Noted. Watch mouth around Derek.
Nah, he's too nice of a guy. Ben.
Yeah.
This is the movie that made Van Damme famous?
Yeah, this is his breakout role.
Okay.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. And we looked at the covers on IMDb, and so many of them look the exact same that I don't know if I could identify this movie between Lionheart and Kickboxer, and it's just like
double him up for double impact.
Yeah.
Slick back his hair and give him a black shirt instead of a white shirt. Make sure he's facing left instead of right. Gold.
Yeah.
Originality.
So, obviously we've been doing this little game lately, but there isn't...
Oh, I wasn't prepared.
But there isn't much of a game here because there's only one actor that's appeared in any previous reviews, and you're going to get it in a second.
That's JCVD.
Yeah, exactly.
Universal Soldier.
It was only a couple episodes ago, so yeah.
I should have shut my mouth. Coming on top for the first time.
It's like, I was so disheartened. I'm looking at the cast list on IMDb and clicking to scroll through their movie list to see if there's anything that appeared on there, and I'm like, there's nothing here.
Have we never done a movie with Forrest Whitaker?
Mm-mm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's literally just the one guy.
Well, I have plans coming up for our 100th episode, and it's bargain bin alumni left and right.
Okay, well then, you better get ready for that one then.
I've already started.
Okay, all right.
10 episodes ahead, but I've already started.
12. This is episode 88.
No, it's not. Is it?
Yeah,
that's right. Put you on the spot now.
Why don't you ask our producer, Derek's friend Craig?
Every time I call him Producer Craig, you lose your shit. So I stopped because I'm a good friend.
Okay, all right. Well, that was so nice of you.
I try, buddy.
Can we just talk about this movie?
I mean, that's why we're here, so yeah. Unless you want to cover something else.
No, the only thing I was going to do is check if this is episode 88. But I'm going to do that as we start talking, and then I'm just going to randomly interrupt us partway through to clarify if I'm right or wrong.
I like your style.
No,
I'm just going to wait and derail us at a later time. But okay. Definitely not your first time watching this.
Yes.
Completely your first time watching this.
Completely my first time watching this.
So we can thank Derek for that.
I've seen some Jean-Claude Van Damme movies in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember most of them. But I know for a fact that I've never seen this one, I've never seen Lionheart, and I've never seen Kickboxer.
Noted for the list.
I mean, I feel like having watched Bloodsport that I've seen these other two.
You have, just in different settings, basically.
There we go.
All right. Especially Lionheart is about, basically a tournament of pit fighters. And You had mentioned The Quest when we were looking at his IMDb.
Yes, I did.
I wrote down the plot here. Actually, I stole it from, I believe, either Wikipedia or IMDb. But the plot, set in 1925, revolves around a martial arts tournament in the mysterious Lost City located deep in Tibet, with martial artists from around the world fighting to earn the winner's prize, the Golden Dragon. Nothing to do with this movie. Claims by Frank Dux are that the film was a reworking of a script he had written in 91 entitled Enter the New Dragon, the Kumite. Those were rejected by a jury.
Well, yeah, of course.
But yeah, how many times has this movie been made? Just with a different title? Countless.
I mean, the reason that it gets made this many times is because it's a reliable formula that if you want a martial arts or combat movie, it really does strip away the necessity for any sort of complicated plot or reasoning. You get together the greatest fight, even like Mortal Kombat, for example.
Perfect example.
That movie is obviously based on a popular like video game franchise, things like that. But if you think about it, they've fleshed out over the course of how many games, backstories for all the different characters and things like that. But when you watch the movie, it's just like, we're just going to have a tournament. The stakes are higher because it's, the 10th tournament to win the Earth. But it's really just like, here's a reason to get the best fighters in the world to get together to fight a tournament. And it works.
It does work. And a great example of Mortal Kombat, too, because they stole the character right out of this movie.
Well, yeah, there's a very obvious scene that pretty much makes you think.
But yeah, you're right. The tournament fight, like the fighting tournament movie, is always, in my opinion, a guaranteed win. It's an easy formula. I mean, you get Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you're like, okay, guys, like, don't stray too far.
But that movie was bad, but it got away from the tournament.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. But movies like The Quest, I mean, I only watched it because I was stuck at home because I sprained my ankle playing basketball. And
that doesn't sound right.
I know. As soon as those words left my lips, I knew you wouldn't believe me, but it's true.
No,
I was laid up from a basketball injury.
Not a chance.
And I'm like, this movie's not that bad. Now, if I wasn't forced to watch it, I probably wouldn't have. But anyway, let's get into the actual movie Bloodsport.
Okay, yeah, Bloodsport, our 88th episode.
Okay.
Hey, I did you one better and I didn't interrupt something.
That's true. Episode 88, 1988 movie.
You just blew my mind.
Thank you for that lie, but I mean, pat myself on the back. But we start off with the Canon logo. And anytime you see this logo pop up in front of a movie, you're going to have a good time, unless it's Cyborg.
Which is another
Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. We get a helicopter shot of Hong Kong, which leads us right into the setup of the fighting stage, the platform for the Kumite, this tournament. That somehow leads right into a global training montage right off the bat of like breaking ice, breaking coconuts, sparring, full-on fights.
It's perfect, though.
It is.
Because it introduces us to a bunch of the fighters that we're going to see. We don't need elaborate backstories on each of them.
Exactly.
Essentially, the only backstory we get is that they come from different parts of the world. They have different fighting styles and training methods. And that's all we need.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that only 4 of the fighters in this tournament actually have lines in the movie.
Yeah. Some of them don't even have full names.
I'm surprised some of them
actually have names.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Victor.
Who's that?
I don't know.
One of them's just Victor?
Yeah, they used the picture of Donald Gibb as a different character on Prime for Victor.
But this is what I love. Like, don't waste time on backstory for every other character that we're not going to see for more than like one fight. And you need something for the like intro credits roll.
Yeah.
This is perfect. This is absolutely the perfect way to start a tournament fighting movie.
You know exactly what you're getting into right away. It's perfect. Where it gets less perfect is when we meet U.S. Army Captain Frank Dux, played by JCVD. And I say less perfect because he escapes the military base to go fight in this tournament. His escape baffles me because he has not a soldier, but like a private or an assistant of some sort, who goes to get him to bring him to the general. And he says, like, he's training, hitting the heavy bag. says he has to go get a shower first. So the guy goes and just stands next to the shower waiting for him. How does he get out of the shower? He goes in the shower, supposedly nude. There's one way in, one way out. Guy doesn't see him. He's managed to somehow dry off, get dressed again, and vanish.
He might not have done those things. He might have crawled out of the window and ran across the campus naked and wet. This is Jean-Claude Van Damme. He takes every opportunity to show his ass.
That's true.
In every movie he has.
That's true. Everybody performing operations on the base are like, there goes Dukes. Crazy old Frank Dukes.
You didn't mention the introduction to Ray, though.
Yeah, Ray Jackson. I skipped over that. My apologies. Played by Donald Gibb. Probably the best attitude of everybody in the movie. A giant, hairy man.
This character confused me initially. Because the first couple times you see him, you think he might be a villain.
He looks like a villain?
Well, he does. Yeah, it's Ogre, right?
Yeah.
Hey, did you... I knew that reference. No? You're not surprised?
Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah, Ogre!
Okay. I know he was in some of the Meatballs movies, too. I just...
Anyway.
Yeah.
You get him. He's the one that's swearing. He's the one that's pretty much going to the fighting competition just because it's fun to beat people up.
I have the quote here. Love anything with full contact. Need a few more scars on my face. Character done. We know who he is.
But then there's also another introduction to him, which made me think that he's going to be a villain. And it's on the bus. But we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Frank goes to visit his dying sensei, Senzo Tanaka, played by Roy Chow, who is fantastic in everything he does. And here he has a flashback to when, as a teenager, Frank and his friends sneak into Tanaka's house and try to steal his katana, but Frank gets caught.
This was recorded in another language, right?
My next note says, the actor playing young Frank is the fucking worst. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about him.
There's no way that that's not, like, audio recorded elsewhere and played over it.
Yeah, that is not that person's
voice. Their mouths
voice.
are moving with the right words, but there's no way they're coming from the person.
It's an accent, for sure, but it's not a real one.
What is going on with the audio in this flashback?
The amount of ADR in this movie is ridiculous. But this is the perfect example of ADR done wrong. And this is where I find out later on.
What did you refer to when we were watching? It was like a speak and spell and
it sounds like someone used to speak and spell for the ADR. It was just terrible. And also Tanaka, like, he basically says the katana is something that you have to earn, you can't take, you can't steal. And then the next thing he does, he just cuts the bill off of Frank's hat. And you're like, why? What lesson is being learned here?
Well, you see, he's wearing, sports hats, and he's just not a fan of the Giants.
That could very well be.
I like how...
Which is weird, because they're in San Francisco.
I like how it starts off where his buddies break in, and then they run out, and Frank decides, no, I'm just going to stay here. Why? I don't know why he doesn't flee as well.
Try and put things back.
But then as he's just literally trying to put it back, and clearly not stealing it, the son runs in and just kicks him in the gut.
Shingo, yeah. Yeah, he wallops him pretty hard. But I also love, too, that when, like, the bill of the hat is cut, the first thing Tanaka does is commend Frank for not flinching. And he doesn't flinch. That's fine. I don't think the actor's capable of pretending to flinch. But the look on his face says, I just shit my pants.
I was going to say, look at the absent look in his eyes. He didn't flinch because he doesn't have the mental capabilities to flinch.
He's completely unaware of his surroundings. He has no idea what's happening.
I can't comprehend the threat to me here.
We cut to Frank's parents agreeing to let Tanaka train him in martial arts. With Tanaka's lines like, I moved here to grow fish. You moved here to make vines grow better. We're both growing children. And it's a martial science.
That is so terrible.
It's bad.
It's so bad.
I didn't think it was bad until my recent rewatch.
And then, Tanaka's deal is, you help my kid, like, assimilate to school, I guess, in the States.
Yeah.
Whatever the
San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, I assume they came from overseas, not from, like, Ohio. And I'll train you. And the parents are just like, yeah, all right, cool.
It's a good deal. Yeah. That's not the deal, though.
You know what I find also interesting? We see Frank. He's trying to steal a sword. Tanaka's kid runs in and just kicks him in the stomach. Then we see them at school, and it's Frank who's beating up the bullies.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that Tanaka's son would have been able to hold his own against the bullies if it was just a matter of fight them back. As he beat the shit out of Frank.
He didn't have to beat the shit. He just threw a kick and Frank is down.
There you go.
But before then, I think we get the sparring scene between Frank and Shingo. And Frank loses, but refuses to give up, and throws a tantrum because he's only really training the son and not Frank whatsoever. Frank's just the punching bag.
Well, yeah, he has a good line. He says, like, if you just need me to be a punching bag, then we don't have a deal.
Yeah.
Right? Because I thought you were going to train.
Yeah. Also, Frank dealing with a slur I haven't heard in a long time. Shingo just calls him Round Eye. I'm like, wow, it's been 30 years since I've ever heard anybody say that.
Then you just got to watch a movie from 88.
I guess, but yeah, like, fucking Shingo's going all out against American Frank Dux. But yeah, Shingo being beaten up at school and Frank intervenes, as you mentioned. It makes no sense for Frank to win that fight, to defend him.
And it makes no sense for Frank to be even fighting that fight. He hasn't been trained.
No,
he's been trained to take a hit.
Take punches. But then there's one thing that I mentioned to you earlier is that Tanaka's son gets up and he's basically talking about how he's going to go kick ass in the Kumite when he gets older.
No, you can't say that. It's a secret.
Exactly. The first mention of the Kumite is spoken by an elementary school child.
See, now, in this case, I understand it. Because what we discover later is that sword that Frank's friends were potentially going to steal is the award for winning the Kumite.
Exactly.
And I understand that if Tanaka's the former winner, his son will know about it. Maybe not everybody. And then, of course, his son's a kid. He's going to spill the beans about it.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. It happens every 5 years.
That's a messed up thing to tell your kid. How old is that kid? And you're like, you see this sword here, son? I was in a competition where some people die, and I won.
Yeah. You know who didn't die? Your old man. Yeah? High five? High five? Killed a lot of motherfuckers overseas.
So now, when I tell you to eat your vegetables...
Look at the katana. We skip ahead a few years, and Tanaka is grieving the death of his son. What happened to him? They don't tell us. He's just dead now.
He was a 12-year-old that tried to go to the Kumite.
Keep in mind, this is a flash forward in a flashback. So, re-edit that so it makes a bit more sense.
They told us what it was. He said, one day when I'm older, I'm going to fight in the Kumite.
Can you imagine he died in the Kumite?
That's what I just said.
I wasn't listening to you.
Oh, yeah, no, I said he died in the Kumite. He was 12 years old, and he flew over to fight. He died.
No, the photo they have of him, he's definitely a young adult now, I would say. Probably a young man, early 20s, judging by the fact that JCVD is there next to Tanaka with the worst 80s hair I've ever seen.
I feel like I should go back. If that happens right after the kid says he's going to go fight in the Kumite, and then we flash forward in the flashback, as you said, to him being like 20 and dead, and be like, maybe that is what happened.
Yeah, it could very well be.
Maybe play that in the story then?
Yeah. Like, give some weight to the overall film.
Frank pretty much says throughout the movie that he wants to win it for the honor for Takashi and stuff like that. But you could have easily just have said revenge.
This is a perfect example where you could turn Frank heel. And it would be great because they're just sitting or they're kneeling in front of the photo and just be like, bet you wish you didn't accept the invitation. But yeah, we get a really good heart-to-heart between Frank and Tanaka here.
Imagine this movie later on reveals that, what was his name? Shingo wasn't actually dead, and he was in the Kumite because he just went and he was hiding out undercover under another new identity down there.
Why would he do that?
I don't know.
I mean, you could add another plot element.
Write the rest of the script. I don't know, but like that would be pretty cool.
Some gangs after him or something. All right. I mean, I'm down for that.
He went down there. They was maybe gambling on the match. He lost. He owed people a lot of money.
Now's your chance to make a Bloodsport spinoff.
No, I'm not doing that.
No. Why is this movie called Bloodsport?
Because it's a blood sport.
Ah, yes, that's right. Ray tells us later.
Yes.
That's the only time that's mentioned in the movie.
One guy gets like a bloody nose, and Ray's like, that's why they call it blood sport. Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Because I always wondered why this movie is never called Kumite.
it probably just wouldn't appeal to the North American marketing as well.
Maybe. Finally, Tanaka agrees to train Frank in ninjutsu. And
So are we to believe that he hasn't trained him in the ninjutsu until now then? He said, if I'm just here to be your punching bag, no deal, and then remains a punching bag up until the point.
for another 10, 15 years, he just gets his ass handed to him.
And then Shinjo dies and he finally gets his side of the deal.
Yeah, can you imagine? Frank's parents would be like, look, Tanaka, we really appreciate you teaching our son martial arts, but these hospital bills are racking up pretty fast. And he doesn't really say much about your son experiencing the same. So is he really just that bad at fighting? But yeah, montage. It really shows how good JCVD is at martial arts. Like, catching koi.
He doesn't catch the koi. Ray
No,
does.
that's part of the training.
Oh, okay. But
He does eventually catch koi.
the most flaccid fish ever.
I made a comment as we were watching. That fish was dead. That fish was just floating on top of the water. So part of your training is just cleaning out the pond from the decaying koi corpses.
That tail is not flapping
It's
at
not,
all.
unless he crushed it in his hand.
Oh, you missed the deleted scene where JCVD does it next, and he just pulls out a handful of goldfish crackers.
Oh my god, that's where this is going. We get our first scene of the classic splits, which are done how many times?
According to the IMDb trivia, 7, but I didn't actually count while watching the movie.
I never thought to count because I don't give a fuck. I just don't. You know you're getting it in a JCVD movie. You know you're getting splits. You know you're getting a weird ass face. You know you're getting
His
butt for sure.
You're getting a roundhouse kick.
And you're getting
every single time.
every single time in this movie, countless times. I don't care. I love all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it works. It works. Serving tea and blocking a punch blindfolded. I mentioned to you before. Imagine he fucked that up and just poured scorching hot tea all over Tanaka.
Here's
and
the
his wife.
thing. They only show...
Shrimps falls to the table. It's like, you're fucking done. Get out. I've been trying this for 15 years. You can't even put a platter on a table. If my son was alive, I'd have him kick your ass.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is the training montage. They only show the successful attempt. You think this was his first try? There must have been some failed attempts.
Pan to the left, there's broken lawn furniture at the other end of the deck. I'm sure the blind training won't come up again, though, so we can let that go.
No, there's no throwback to that.
Another part of training, which neither of us really understand, is rope torture.
How does this improve you as a fighter?
I don't know. Tie rope to the wrists and ankles and pull the limbs in opposite directions.
It's just an opportunity to get him to do elevated splits?
I don't know. Should have just left him strung up there.
But then the winch that he uses for lifting him
He breaks it.
pulls out of the log or whatever, the stump of a tree that he's got it bolted into.
Yeah.
And is that a success?
I guess. If I were Tanaka, I'd be like, you stop breaking my shit, man.
I didn't break your tea set, all right? Back off.
Apparently this was the final bit that allowed him to pass the training, and he's presented with a katana. Great. I guess he's ready for the kumite.
Why is he giving
I don't know.
katana? Give him like a headband or something he can wear in the kumite, you know?
Yeah. Well, back in modern day, that was all a flashback.
Yeah.
And flash forward.
The thing you don't know is that happens every time he walks into Tanaka's house.
He just freezes with the same dumb expression the kid Frank had.
And Tanaka's wife every
Can
time.
you imagine watching, she has entertaining people. She's like, watch this. Watch. And she puts a hat on him. And then just slice off the pig.
Every time she opens the door and she sees it's him visiting, she just rolls her eyes. She's like, he's going to stand dumbfounded in the hallway.
Can you help me shift him out of the doorway in case someone else needs to come in? But yeah. Tanaka and Frank chat, and Frank reveals he's entering the Kumite to honor Tanaka. In Hong Kong now, this is where Frank sees Ray Jackson for the first time.
He got to Hong Kong quick.
He did. Very quick. Yeah. No time splicing. He was just there. But what's your take on Jackson? You said it comes across as a heel.
Well, this is the point where, like, okay, he obviously had some attitude in the intro, which on second viewing, I was like, oh, it's just fun, right? But you coupled his, like, bloodthirst, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better phrase, with the fact that when he gets on the bus, he starts hitting on a woman fairly aggressively. Like, he doesn't really do anything that would be, like, inappropriate, like Hussein or Hassan later, but it just does seem pretty aggressive. And I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be like a villain, right? Like, he loves fighting and he doesn't respect women. And yep, that's the last we see of him not being a great guy.
Yeah, it's, I guess, an intentional misdirect, but for no real reason. I guess it just intimidation. Frank's supposed to be the outsider coming into this. Journalist Janice Kent, played by Leah Ayres, tries to get info about the secret Kumite.
You might as well just say it now.
No dice.
No, just say it now.
The term secret means something completely different in this movie world, because it does not mean what we think it means, because everybody fucking knows about this tournament. And they keep calling it secret.
And the thing I'm trying to figure out is, like, she's in that bar. This is where we meet her. She's trying to get information on the Kumite, and it's like, well, how'd you learn about it that far?
Yeah. And, like,
how did you know that they were all staying here?
No idea. The movie has plot holes, Sandra. We should have expected this. Frank and Jackson finally interact at playing arcade games. Frank wins repeatedly, and I love it. It's a great way to introduce these two characters to each other.
When Frank walks in, you see that Ray is playing this game. And I'm thinking, okay, this is where they're going to kind of chat a little. Frank is going to beat him in the video game because they ask him to join. But then Ray's going to threaten him. Oh, but wait till I see what I do to you in person. But no, they just start chatting and laughing. And you want to play another game? And they're just having a good time.
And Ray's quote of, when they both discover that they're there for the Kumite, he says, "Aren't you a little young for full contact?" And Frank says, "Aren't you a little old for video games?"
I love that you said when they discover that they're there for the Kumite, as opposed to Ray just flat out saying, "I'm here for the Kumite."
Oh, that's right. Well, it's a secret tournament. You need code words, right?
He's like,
"I'm here for the Kumite." Taps nose. I am also here for the Kumite. It's like a secret handshake.
How does he even know that Frank is there for that? He's just he's wearing regular clothes.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like he's, like, really, really big. He's obviously in great shape, but you can't see that through his clothes. He's just a guy walking into a hotel. I'm here for the Kumite. It's like, we really...
Great job keeping that secret. Can you imagine after the conversation, he's just walking up to strangers doing that, poking himself in the chest, be like, "I'm here for the Kumite."
You just see, like, the tournament officials just, like, grab him by the shoulder and walk him out. Like, you're out of the tournament now.
We need to do something about Jackson. CID agents Helmer and Rollins, one of whom played by Forrest Whitaker. Can't believe, like I said earlier, we haven't covered him before.
Did you know that he was young at one point?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Here and Good Morning Vietnam. Very good in that. But they arrive at Tanaka's house looking for Frank, only to find out that, yes, he was there, but that was 2 days ago. Jackson and Frank arrive at the hotel and meet Lynn, who shows them around. And the introduction's great. "You Jackson? You look like a Jackson."
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he look like a Jackson?
He definitely looks like a Ray. But, then that must make you Frank Dux.
Why?
Although, if you look at DUX, he has no reason to believe that they'd be friends and they'd be standing right there. I get you.
Like, they just met in the lobby. There's no reason to assume that they would be together.
No.
Although, if you watch that scene where Lynn is like, "You must be Dux," JCVD is trying so hard not to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple of scenes in this movie. I didn't notice them the first time around, but the second time around, where you can clearly see actors are either flat out laughing.
The best one we'll get to eventually.
Yeah. Or in this one, you can see, like, he kind of, like, you see his, like, mouth curls, like he's gonna laugh, and he's like, no, it's Dukes. Right? Like, it's just like,
oh yeah, like, put up your dukes. I can tell people are having fun making this movie. I think that's part of what makes it so enjoyable. Just having a blast. You can't take any of this seriously.
no.
Yes,
It's a secret tournament, Ben. People die in this tournament. Stop joking around about it.
So Lynn's purpose is to basically walk them around, look after them, make sure they get to the Kumite okay. And they enter the decrepit hallways leading to the arena. I guess it's an arena?
I don't know. It looks like just a
fight
back
platform
room in an
with,
alley or something. Yeah.
Like, messed up, I don't even call it, like, shitty bleachers, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you need to have room for the audience of the secret tournament.
Yes. Yeah, you have to make sure you have ample seating. Before qualifying rounds start, Frank has to prove himself by showing the dim map.
Why? They send them invitations. If you have an invitation, why do you need to prove yourself? You were sent an invitation.
How would, and that's the thing too, how would Frank get sent an invitation without Tanaka knowing and fighting under the Tanaka name? Where did that invitation come from?
Well, I have to assume that he got it directly. Like, why would it go through Tanaka?
Because they don't know who Frank Dux is.
How do they know who Ray Jackson is?
I don't know. But the invitation was for Tanaka.
Was it?
Yeah, because it says fighting for House Tanaka. It's like, you don't look like a Tanaka.
I thought he just verbalized that.
Huh. But the Dimmak is a fictitious move from a bunch of other martial arts films that has nothing to do with breaking a brick.
It also has nothing to do with the other Dinmoks we see in other movies.
No.
Because never is it like breaking a brick it's on the other side of bricks that you don't break.
No, it's all about, like, really quick precision strikes that basically shut down a person's body. Mm-hmm. Not punching the top of a stack of bricks and exploding the bottom brick only.
How does that happen?
It doesn't make sense.
In physics.
Like, no, it doesn't. But he does it. That motherfucker explodes.
It just shoots out of there.
It looks great.
You know what's funny?
It doesn't make sense, but it looks great.
It's funny because on camera, it breaks and it just explodes towards the camera. Yeah. What if it exploded in the other direction?
Just takes out his knees.
He just gets like a piece of brick shrapnel in his leg. I guess I'm out of the tournament now.
Also, one of the first glimpses we get of the I'm angry and going to strike JCVD face.
Yeah.
Which happens way too much in this movie. I actually have right here on my notes, the look on Frank's face should be enough to make that brick explode. Jesus Christ. And we finally hear our villain speak with very good, but brick not hit back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Chong Li, played by Bolo Young, is probably one of my top action movie villains. He just has that look about him. He's incredibly intimidating, so very 80s, and I find that his on-screen energy is fantastic.
His pecs are the size of basketballs.
Yeah. He's terrifying.
It's
he's
ridiculous.
Very intimidating, man.
It's so out of proportion.
Yeah.
Like, he's jacked, but his pecs are massive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unnatural.
Although, can you explain to me how Frank is this amazing fighter who's in the military, somehow gets an invite for the Kumite. They question his ability to be in it, but then he breaks a brick and they're like, all right, yeah, you're in.
It's Bloodsport. All right, then. CID agents are still on the hunt. Pointless. It really is pointless. They don't need to exist in this movie.
No.
They don't do anything.
No.
Some fighters get forceful with Janice in the hotel bar.
That's Hussein.
Yeah, Hussein and his two lackeys. And Frank stops them with a coin trick.
So
you want to explain the coin trick?
No, I don't understand the coin trick. I honestly watched it twice and I don't understand the coin trick.
Yeah.
So here's this Hussein guy.
Not his voice, by the way.
Again, how much of this movie was recorded elsewhere and played over top of it? I don't know. It's a very large amount. But here's this guy flat out in a hotel lobby saying, I'm going to take you upstairs against your will.
Yep.
Who then just concedes when JCVD bets him on a coin trick? He seems like the kind of guy who would honor his bet.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, well, I'm a man of my word.
It's like, you can look at the facial expressions of whatever her name is. I don't even remember. And JCVD is like, oh, are you a gambling man? How about we bet on a coin? And she's like, bet me on a coin?
Also, the bet is if you can close your hand before I can take this coin out of it, she's yours.
But then there's a different coin in his hand?
He not only does he swipe the coin out before he can fully close his hand, he replaces it with another coin.
Is that what happens?
That's what happens.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, I didn't see his hand move at all.
Yeah, because it doesn't.
Did he just do a sleight of hand trick and put a different coin down?
That would make much more sense. But you see the coin in his palm. Before and after. And that's why I'm with Ray Jackson, standing next to him being like, are you sure about this? And then just being like, after he wins, he'd just be like, fuck, okay, whatever. I don't get it. But yes, Frank wins. And he and Janice walk and talk. And she's only there to find out why the Kumite is so mysterious. What it is and why it's so mysterious. And my notes just say, realistically, it wouldn't be. There's
Realistically,
no way.
why would she even want a story on the Kumite?
Well,
what does she work for? What publication does she work
You
for?
never know.
And how would this publication benefit from selling copies of a newspaper revealing a secret tournament?
Oh, it's not secret.
You get what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
It's like, there's no reason to do this
Well,
story.
the thing is, why would it even... How could it even stay a secret?
It's a human interest piece, I guess.
It's like, we talked about Shingo talking about it at school. How does everyone else know about it?
How do you get invited?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I guarantee there was one guy who tried and didn't make it through, like, the qualifiers. It's like, fuck this, I'm telling the world.
Do you apply?
I don't know.
Like, we see Ray Jackson at the beginning just training in a gym, hitting a punching bag.
Yeah.
And it's like...
There is one major thing that happens later on.
Okay.
That proves there's no way in hell this is a secret.
Okay.
And we'll get to it. Jackson witnesses JCVD's classic splits on 2 folding chairs. I don't mind the scene. This scene's fucking badass, dude. It goes on a little too long, no doubt.
Okay, fine. You know what? I'm not putting myself into the mentality of 1988 when Van Damme hadn't done 30 movies and I haven't seen him do this a million times.
Yeah.
I'm sure at that point it would be like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think this was the first JCVD movie I ever saw. I remember loving it because I'm like, how can this guy do all this shit? So yeah, I'm fine with it. Next, opening ceremony of the Kumite. And this is what I was talking about, it not being secretive whatsoever. Because they make an announcement that the Kumite this year is co-sponsored by the International Fighting Arts Association. And my next one says, does secret have another meaning I'm not aware of? Because they're going to have to account where that money went to.
Imagine if it really was a secret, how that sponsorship meeting would be going. We need you to sponsor something. What? We can't say.
I'm in. Every 5 years you come to us for money. We always say no. We decide this year? Yeah, why not? But yeah, in the Kumite, there are 3 ways to win. You have to knock your opponent out, make them submit, or knock them out of bounds. Then we get our first fight. And yeah, you said guy takes a knee to the face, blood goes flying, and Jackson says that's why they call this thing Bloodsport, kid.
I mean...
And I said, who calls it Bloodsport? Other than the name of the movie getting in there.
Who
else calls it Bloodsport?
All the people that don't know about this secret tournament. They call it Bloodsport, you see. Because they don't know it's actually... Like, it's a secret, so they don't know what a Kumite is. So when they talk about this secret, they just label it Bloodsport.
Perfect.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you finally get it.
Thanks. I really needed that explanation. I can watch this movie through clearer eyes now.
It's amazing, though. And next time I'm watching, like, a basketball game or a hockey game with a friend, and somebody just gets a bloody eye or bloody nose, because that happens. You get a basketball in the face, I'll be like, hey, that's why they call it Bloodsport.
Watch it with their like all Bloodsport. I'm just off on the side being like, Kumite, Kumite. But our second fight is actually with Jackson and a generic fighter. It probably had a name. God knows. Maybe it was Victor. I don't know. The audience knows who's going to win this.
That's
just
why.
by looking
That's
at
why.
them.
That's why it has rating.
You Gibb. They use his image just because everyone's like, I don't fucking know who this guy is. It's just Gibb again.
It's the guy that Gibb fought in the first round.
Yeah.
All right, then just use Gibb's picture again.
And I love how short this fight is. Because really, this is the world record holder. Which they make a big deal of it being 12 seconds later on. This guy headbutts Jackson in the face. Jackson realizes he's bleeding and then just hammer fists the guy in the face once, knocking him out cold. End of fight.
It's funny, too, because I don't know about this fight, but there is a fight later where it was in the trivia where somebody's like, yeah, we timed it. That fight was 8 seconds.
Also, where are they posting these records? It's just Kumite specific.
It's in the Guinness Book of World
And
Records.
the Family Feud board just pops up.
It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. They have a section that says Secret Tournament.
Secret Tournament. Next fight involves the big bad Chong Li, who apparently killed a guy in the last tournament by kicking him in the throat. And I had to ask you this. Does he break his opponent's neck in this, or does he just crack it? Because there's an audible crack.
I mean...
And then he strikes him in the face afterwards, and then throws him off the fighting platform.
It actually almost looks like he hits him in the back of the head, so like he cracked his skull or something.
No, this is a different guy.
Oh, okay.
This is the guy he has in the chokehold.
Right.
And he just, like, wrenches it, and you hear a crack, and the guy's unconscious. He's hanging by his neck. And then Chong Li strikes him in the face, and then just hurls him off the platform.
I'm gonna say no, but not because of what they show us, simply because of the reaction of when he actually does it, and it makes a big deal, whereas here it's just brushed off.
Yeah. It's clunky at best, but okay. Frank's up next. It's Hussein.
Of course, that's his first round
Of
matchup.
course. And that's fine. Get him out of the movie.
Hussein is one of only 4 fighters that are in the tournament that have lines.
Yeah.
It's Ray, Frank, Chong Li,
Chong Li.
and Hussein are the only fighters that have lines in this movie.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. Every single other fighter does not say anything, doesn't even have like a battle taunt. They do not speak.
That's fine. You have to pay for that. And we'll get into the numbers later. I think you'll find that funny. Yeah. Problem with the Frank Hussein fight is Hussein visibly acknowledging he's faking being knocked out, and the ref was about to call the fight after watching it.
Well, I don't think it is, because they say that the 3 ways to win are to knock out your opponent, knock them out of bounds, or have them submit. Well, it doesn't say how quickly they can come back from being knocked out.
I guess that's shady, though, because once you're knocked out, that's the stipulation, knocked out. It's not knocked out for a period of time. But it's the worst fake out I've ever seen. And he comes and tries to attack Frank from behind, and it just doesn't happen.
And then we get maybe one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Because Hussein has the gold tooth in the front.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that in my notes, but that's right. Yeah.
I laughed so hard at this on my first viewing, and I still laughed at it again the second time. There's just this random, ring attendant or something. They show him earlier when he cleans that first spot of blood when Ray says that's why they call this Bloodsport.
Yeah.
But he has his, blood cleaning sponge, but he looks at the gold tooth like he's in love with it. Yeah. And he goes and he runs up and he bites it to check that it's gold, and his eyes are just like, oh wow, this is real. And he's like, he pockets it like, hopefully nobody's looking. It's like, everybody is looking.
It's the sneakiest guy hoping no one's watching him when he's at the center of a ring surrounded by spectators.
And then he just goes to wipe up the blood, and you never see him again.
No, that's it. He's out of the movie.
Even if later on they had a callback and you see him at a pawn shop walking out with a stack of money or something like that, just anything. Just give me a moment. But whoever this actor is, his facial expressions when he sees that gold tooth are fantastic.
Absolutely amazing. I wish we did have more of him in the movie, though.
Yeah.
He's comedic gold.
Why not? He could have been Lynn's character.
Yeah.
Be like, okay, I show you around when you're not at the tournament. When you're at the tournament, I'm a ring attendant.
Great. Yeah. I mean, you have to cast him as Lynn. They'll get Lynn out of there.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Cool. Now it's just a fight montage of everyone else because we need to thin the herd. But we get your favorite song in the movie.
Oh, okay, don't tell me this isn't your favorite song. At least in this movie?
Yeah, it's probably the best in the
Fight
movie.
to Survive is a darn good song regardless, let alone if you stack it up against the other songs in this movie.
Yeah, it's a great song for sure. I could do without the Kumite chants in it, though. And you didn't even know that was from this movie.
No, I did. We had no, I'm not going to get into this.
Okay.
Because you tried to tell me when I was talking about the song that the chanting was from the movie, not from the song. And I'm like, oh, maybe the video I watched on YouTube, then they just ripped the clip from the movie. But it's actually in the song.
Yes, I know. I'm saying I wish it wasn't.
I like it. It fits it well.
It does.
My only actual regret is that they use it for a really early montage.
Yeah, it
so
should
then
be later
when
on.
we have later montages, we have fine songs, but ones that aren't as good. And it's like, well, why didn't you save the best for last?
Yeah. It would be a much smarter creative decision. Next, we get the best breaking of character scene. It's the CID agents eating lunch.
So Forrest Whitaker is trying to eat eel. Clearly doesn't know how to use chopsticks. He's got them in separate hands. He's fumbling it. He's dropping things. And his partner, I can't remember his name because I don't remember anybody's name for anything ever, is visibly just laughing his ass off in the chair next to it.
But he's trying to hide it. You can tell the way he's turning his head.
I completely missed it the first time because you're so fixated on what Forrest Whitaker's doing, bumbling with it. But the second time, I'm just looking at him. He's clearly laughing his ass off. And it's like, that's the best take.
Yep. Yep. I love it though. Like that's you can't not laugh at that scene every time you see it now.
Forrest Whitaker does really well in the very small role he's given in this movie.
He does a great job in, I think, everything I've seen him in. I've never watched a movie and been like, man, it would be better if he was recast. He's always solid.
Well, you were even complimenting him later in the movie when he's in the
background acting. It's amazing.
He doesn't take a take off. That sounded bad, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, no, I get
He gives it in anything, and it doesn't matter if he's got the smallest role, if he's got a background role. He is giving it his all, and it shows. He's great.
Yeah. I don't know anything about his personal life. I hope he's a wicked guy, because I love watching him on screen. He's great at what he does.
But then he throws his eel to the dog when they get like a lead and they leave, and even the dog's just like, I don't want that.
They get tipped off as to where Frank is at the hotel, and Frank's just hanging out with Jackson. They drink.
Jackson's already like 3 deep.
He's got a beer in hand in every scene he's in.
But he's this scene. He's got a beer in his hand. There's 3 beer bottles on the table, and then in front of Jean-Claude Van Damme is a cup of water.
Yeah.
So you're just like, that's all Ray.
Yeah, all right, for sure.
Dude, later in the movie, he's in the hospital with a beer in his hand. Like, just imagine a nurse attendant like, how did he get that? How do you keep getting those? Get that out of here.
I love Ray. I love how Ray actually speaks up when the agents tell Frank they have to leave and they're taking him back. And Forrest Whitaker just says, hey, pal, stay out of this. And Ray's response is, I ain't your pal, dick face. The dumbest retort you could make. And he sticks the landing with it somehow.
Okay, let's talk about this now because we have yet to talk about it, although we talked about it before recording. Why are these guys after Jean-Claude Van Damme?
There's no reason.
He is leaving the military, not like a dishonorable discharge. It's not like he abandoned. He's going on furlough. And they say, well, we don't want you to go. Why? And they always tiptoe around it. They say, like, we can't let you get hurt. We've put too much time and money into you.
Yeah.
But that's all. Like, they never actually say, why? Why is he so important? Why do they need him back?
I don't know.
These people might as well be.
Their motives are as secret as the Kumite.
For all we know, these guys don't work for, like, the FBI. They're just here to collect, like, unpaid child support for some kid that just...
Well, Jackson tackles the agents and Frank makes a break for it. And we get a chase montage. And why is Frank just fucking with them? Because it's a full-on Scooby-Doo chase. He's jumping over things, hiding behind other things, switching directions, laughing the entire fucking time he's doing it.
You watch it. There's scenes where he's running towards the camera in it, and he's just got the biggest smile on his face.
Biggest smile.
I was watching the movie the first time, and I'm like, so when does the Benny Hill music kick in?
That's what it feels like, man.
It doesn't fit this movie.
It's like the Scooby-Doo hallway with all the doors, and like they run in one and run out the other one, and then they run into each other, and then swoop around and go.
And then for some reason, Frank runs by with a beer can. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Breaks a brick over his face. The Janice dinner scene is up next, and she's still pushing him to get her access to the Kumite. And I don't care anymore.
No.
Because she knows enough about it, she can find her own way in. But she does.
Listen, lady, just go look it up. There's probably articles written about it. There's no secret here.
Yeah. Yeah. You just ask somebody. Fucking go outside and be like, where's the Kumite? This kid selling fruits. Probably like, 3 blocks down, take a right. It's dirty hallways. Password's OK USA, I guess. I don't know. They change it up. It's every 5 years. I don't know. I can't.
We never mentioned that guy.
No.
He's just a guy. When Lynn's showing them around, who
is blocking the entrance,
and it's not even to the building. It's to the hallway that leads to the building.
Yeah. And
he just gives them the thumbs up, A-OK, USA A-OK, and it's like Ray even like turns around and like mockingly does it to Frank, and it's like,
I wouldn't do that.
What was that?
I don't know.
And this is like right after we see them walking to the tournament, and Lynn is saying like, "Oh yeah, it's like run by the Triad." It's like, maybe don't mess with these people.
Yeah, don't. Definitely don't mock them to their faces. But yeah, Janice dinner scene, blah blah blah. Of course, they end up having sex. Just an excuse for Van Damme to show his ass getting dressed the next morning. And
okay, see now this. Because as soon as he leaves, and she even, like, they have a final little conversation in bed before he leaves, and he's saying, like, I can't get you into the Kumite. And then she's like, oh, that's okay. And as soon as he leaves, she kind of almost, like, springs up, like she's gonna leave. And I said to you, I could have swore that this would be the scene where she, like, follows him to the entrance, and that's how she gains entry.
Well, no, because that would make sense.
Oh, sorry. Instead, she's there shortly after.
Yeah.
Undercover with someone?
Yep. She's someone's date. Which basically leads me to believe she's like, do you want to go out? He's like, I can't. I'm going to this secret martial arts tournament called the Kumite. She's like, can I go as your date? He's like, it's pretty secret, but yeah, I guess so.
It's like, how did she find the person that was going there to go undercover?
Because everybody fucking knows what it is. It is not a secret whatsoever. She can ask anybody. Everybody she talks to acknowledges they know what it is. It doesn't make any sense.
Sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit.
That's okay, because we get Jackson trying his hand at the dim back. He's like, I know, bottom one, right? And it just smashes only the top brick, brushes it off, picks up the bottom brick, presents it, and says, see, not a scratch on it. It's so good. It's so good.
But then the rep he tries to give it to is like, that's not it. And then he just
breaks it over his forehead and hands crumbled brick dust over to him saying, this is for you.
He's like, neither is this. And then smashes it. It's like, he's just having fun.
Oh, God. And yeah, this is where we find out that Janice made it in, dating a rich businessman, we guess.
How? You know what? Forget it. It doesn't matter.
Just moving on. We get another fight montage. And this is where we get that horrendous leg break.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, but no. I do have to say, I have to give this movie a compliment here, and I think that the editing for the fight scenes is phenomenal. A lot of the strikes look like they actually connected in quite a few scenes. Not all. I'll give you that.
It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
It either looks great or it looks like they completely whiffed it.
Yeah. But the ones that look like they made contact, they look believable. Frank takes out the big guy. I don't even know his name.
Sumo wrestler guy.
Kind of, who doesn't actually sumo wrestle.
In some of the trivia on IMDb, he's referred to as like a sumo wrestler guy, so that's all I know.
But yeah, he takes him out. Like, this guy's just a juggernaut, seemingly unstoppable. Frank takes him out by doing the splits and throwing an uppercut to the dick. Then pushes the guy over.
Yep.
Guy's out. I guess that's a knockout. But he gets cheered for it.
Yeah, because he beat the big guy.
Yeah, but if you're watching a fight and someone gets taken out by being punched in the nuts, would you be like, fuck yeah, standing O?
Yeah, I'm having a ball.
Okay. Oh. Almost went past me on that.
I got you to crack a smile.
Yeah. Next up is Jackson having to fight Chong Li. This does not go well for Jackson.
This pisses me off so much because it's the issue that you hear me complaining about constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson gets the upper hand. He knocks Chong Li down to, I don't know, his knees or something like that.
Bloodies up his face a bit.
Up his face a bit. And at this point, you're like, you could win. At this point, you could just pounce on him and finish the match. Instead, he turns around and starts cheering to the audience and getting them to chant his name. And it's the same thing Zeus did in No Holds Barred.
Whose nickname was also Tiny.
Oh,
much like Ray Jackson.
All right, then. Don't do that. You're in a fight.
And he knows that Chong Li is probably the most dangerous guy in the tournament.
Yes.
This very secret tournament, Sandra.
Well, they do say early in conversations with Lynn, like, that's the former champion.
Yeah.
So
who killed a guy?
So why are you taking this chance?
Well, it doesn't work out in his favor.
No, it doesn't.
No. He gets beaten down pretty bad, and I have to say Chong Li stomping his head was a little much. I mean, that you would think that if he was going to kill anybody in the tournament, if he killed Ray Jackson, the revenge at the end of the movie would feel so much better.
Yes, because of this deep connection that Frank has built with him.
They've been
over
best friends for 2 days, Sandra.
Yes, 2 days.
You can't look past
This
that.
is the second day of a 3-day tournament, yes.
Yes, it's a friendship of a lifetime.
I guess technically they did meet 3 days ago because the first night they didn't fight in the tournament.
That's true.
They just met at the hotel. So they've known each other for 3 days instead of 2.
Yes, I don't see your argument here. Like, this is...
Well, I just crumbled it myself.
Friends for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It does feel like that move it made Chong Li more of a monster.
Well, yeah.
So that's fine.
Well, because
taking the headband, taking Ray's Harley-Davidson headband.
The whole idea is that multiple times in the fights, and not just this fight, Chong Li has clearly won, but he keeps going. And that's what makes him the villain. Like, he knocks Frank down. He's won the match. He doesn't need to stomp his head to have won the match. He just does it because he's dastardly.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know how else to respond to that. That's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. He's a heel.
Thank God Jackson doesn't die, though.
No.
He's just in the hospital.
Yes.
With a gauze around his head. A little bit of blood.
Why is it bleeding on his forehead? I guess, like, he...
Heel stomp.
Yeah, I guess it, I don't know, tore when he hit the mat? I don't know.
Frank vows revenge. Of course he does. It's an 80s action movie.
As opposed to what?
Yeah.
So if I
Ray, I just want to let you know, I ain't letting that shit happen to me. I'm fucking out. All the best, bud.
But it's like if I meet Chong Li later in this tournament and I didn't have the motivation of revenge, I guess I wouldn't have fought him. You're still there to win the tournament.
There, yeah.
If you match up with him, you're still gonna fight him.
What are you gonna tell Tanaka?
I guess
I got fucked up real bad. Worse than when your son would beat the shit out of me. I'm not doing that. Sorry. And Janice is pissed with a line of, Frank, I don't want to see you get hurt. And Frank's response is, then don't watch.
Great.
Then don't watch. Not saying, I won't. Like, I won't be hurt.
Well, it's realistic. He could. He's not overconfident. He's just confident.
Confident. I don't want to see you get hurt. Yeah, then don't watch, because it's going to be a fucking bloodbath.
Did you see what happened to Ray? I don't stand much of a chance.
I opened a beer next to his head. He didn't react at all. Look at him. He's massive.
And the doctor's like, "Stop! Get out of here! Stop fighting!"
Janice goes to the authorities to have them stop the Kumite. Like, basically, no.
I love how the authorities are like, wait, what's that? You want us to stop what? We don't know what this... Oh, wait, no, they actually do the exact opposite. They're like, we can't stop this secret tournament that we all...
Are you crazy? Everyone knows about the Kumite. No one's stopping that.
Have you seen Chong Li? I'm not stopping that.
I heard he fucked up some giant American real bad. Doesn't even wake up when you crack a beer next to his head.
How about you go tell him that the tournament is off?
Look, how about you report on the aftermath of that confrontation? Jesus Christ, lady. Fuck off.
But the police agree because she says Frank's name.
Yeah.
Even though, okay, the FBI or whatever, CIA or Army representatives, whoever they are, speak to the police chief earlier and tell him, we're looking for Frank. He came here to fight in the Kumite because they know about it too. But then when she comes in and says, well, I have a friend named Frank and I need to stop the tournament, they're like, oh, well, we better do something.
Like, we can't let this get out into the news.
None of what she told you is new information right now. You knew everything that just happened.
CID agent said the exact same thing. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. A fucking news reporter for a nondescript paper? Jesus Christ. Get our act together. We get our train ride montage.
Oh my God.
Where Frank has to sit and ruminate on all the different emotions going through his head.
This is maybe one of the best imagery in this entire movie because he looks out the window on the train and in the reflection sees Chong Li just staring at him.
But it's not a stare. It's so over accentuated. He's just got wide eyes and like a bit of a grin. Like, you look at that, and that's terrifying. It's more like, creeping on you, motherfucker.
And then he turns around and he's not there. It's in his mind.
Mind was blown.
It'd be hilarious if, like, he looks and he's not there, and Jean-Claude is like, oh my God, what's going on in my head? And then you just see that he's at the front of the bus getting off. It's like,
middle finger up staring at him as he gets off.
He was here. I just didn't see him get up and walk to the door.
He's just been trailing Frank the whole night, fucking with him. We get another split scene, but this time it's on a balcony way up. I don't know why. This doesn't make any sense, but I love
it's
the view.
A gorgeous shot.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense.
Zero
is this
sense.
his hotel room? Is it another hotel room? Is this train? I don't know.
What happens if a wind gust happens? Just rips them off the side of the building.
But just from an image standpoint, it is a gorgeous overview of the city. It's got a beautiful panning shot around it. It's a really nice image.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
It makes no
nice.
sense, but it's beautiful, and I like it. The agents and police try to stop Frank in the hallways to the arena, but of course this doesn't work.
I didn't know the police force that uses their bare hands.
They're called British.
Yeah, because like
bobbies, if you will.
He's walking down this hall, and like one of the police officers just goes at him with his hands above his head. Like, are you practicing? Like, is this your Dracula costume for Halloween? Blah 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 blah. He just goes at him.
He's like, sorry about that guy. I thought he was a vampire.
And of course, Jean-Claude is just beating all of these guys up because they're coming at him one at a time with no weapons, as a police force would do
in a confined area. So they can't go left or right. It's like, once they get to the door frame, I guess I'll just knock them the fuck out. But he ends up striking a deal with the agents after taking out all of these officers. And the agents are like, yeah, all right. He's like, I'll meet you at the plane tomorrow. I'm like, fine.
I love how the agents pull out their tasers again.
Yeah.
They're giant tasers.
Flashlight tasers.
They're huge. And Frank picks up a garbage can lid and deflects it into the police officers. And then, like you said, the guys are just like, all right, Frank, we give up.
Yeah, and then, like, the chief and Sid's like, what the fuck? He doesn't get any reaction whatsoever. It'd be like, he just took out half of my force. We're just going to let that slide?
Yes, apparently.
He staked one of my guys because he thought he was a vampire.
Now, that didn't happen. He just kicked him and then kicked the door closed.
Yeah. Also, Janice is there with the agents cheering him on.
Why?
They just go watch the fights. And what was the point of her freaking out if she was just going to go anyway and watch it?
This is the best part, because she snuck in with this businessman.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to play up the secret tournament even remotely, you could imagine that maybe even the audience gets invitations. So she had to come in as a date, as somebody's plus one. But this time, her and the agents just walk in.
They walk in.
They just walk in. Apparently, if you just know the location of the tournament, it's fair game. Just go in.
Okay, USA. Chong Li kills his next opponent, making the tournament finals against Frank. Great. Pointless death. Does nothing for the story. Again, I'm glad it wasn't Jackson, but if you want to throw him killing a competitor, like dying into the mix, it's Ray Jackson.
But you don't need to kill someone. Frank's already got the
And
motivation
this-
from Frank being in the hospital.
And this does nothing for the story at all.
No,
You're
it's
correct.
unnecessary.
The next little detail I always liked, but you said you hated it when we watched it earlier today. And that is when they angle the platform.
I didn't say I hate it. I said I don't understand it. Why would you have a tournament where the platform is completely flat constantly, and then when you get to the finals, you're just like, okay, guys, now fight on this elevated platform? It's like, well, that's not what we've been doing up until now.
Mix it up.
Why do you need to mix it up?
I don't know. I didn't say you had to. I just said I liked it.
It's just like, you guys are the best fighters. Now fight on an incline. Well, maybe the last guy who's dead would have fought better on an incline.
We're actually going to mix up a little bit more. Frank, you're wearing a blindfold. Chong Li, your hands are tied behind your back. Have at her, boys.
Sounds good.
Kumite. One of Chong Li's assistants secretly tucks 2 pills in the fighter's waistband. We get the reveal of Ray's headband, a Harley Davidson headband tied around Chong Li's shin.
Loved it.
Yeah, and the fight begins. What a great intimidation
The only thing
factor
I didn't like is when they're like face to face, and Chong Li is like, "You broke my record. Now I'm gonna break you, like your friend." And he points to the headband. It's like, you don't need to point to your knee at that point. We know who you're referring to.
Frank's like, I don't know any Harley Davidson. Is he another American competitor?
It's like, as an audience, are we supposed to be like, does he mean the guy he just killed?
The alcoholic?
The guy that we didn't see Frank with at any point in the movie? Maybe that's who he means when he says friends. You just look into the stands and the woman's dead.
Out of nowhere.
For no reason at all. You look at the audience and Lynn is dead and the woman is dead and the police agents are like impaled and grasping for their last breath.
We do get solid action. This is a great fight. And I say, like, it is overacted at times for sure, but I consider this to be the best and most convincing fight of the entire movie.
It's a great fight.
Yeah.
But, and this is a problem throughout the entire movie, too much slow motion.
Yes.
I get the idea of using slow motion for impact, for emphasis.
Yeah.
But it diminishes when you use it so much, it becomes watered down. And then even when they do use, like, slow motion, it lingers too long. Like, and it happens earlier, you know, when Van Damme hits the sumo wrestler in the stomach, it stays on him and it shows his head still moving as he's, you know, chanting and stuff. And it's like, this is too long. But then when it happens later, it's like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah,
like,
it is definitely overused.
Yeah.
And not the only one of JCVD's movies where this is an issue. But I am going to say, this is you have to remove any Bruce Lee movie from this conversation, or this statement.
Okay.
But this is my favorite martial arts fight of any movie, non-Bruce Lee.
I can't answer that without doing research, so I can't deny it.
That's fine. I said no, my favorite, not the best, my favorite.
I know, but I'd like to contribute with mine, and I'd
That's
have
fine.
to research that.
We'll do it next week.
All right.
Of course, the villain can't not cheat.
It's a good thing you said movie, because if it was TV show.
Cobra Kai.
Oh, Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Crushes up the pills and throws the dust in Frank's eyes. What's your problem with this scene, Sandro? Because I'm sure you have one. At least. If not more.
Well, I did mention this before. One, he puts this, like, I don't know if it's like a pill or a tablet or something that he crunches
It's
up.
a tablet, yeah, it's definitely
Like,
crunching
it's a pill of Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah.
In his front, like, shorts. Like, what if JCVD kicked him there, and like you just see out of the bottom of his shorts like a dust fart coming out of this one pant leg.
He's like, my pals!
And then the other thing too is he throws it in JCVD's eyes. And I understand that this is Bloodsport, so there's no rules, people can die.
There are 3 rules.
But every single person in this arena just saw that. You'd think that they could at least say, time out, go to your corners until he can see.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's cool. Whatever.
That's why we needed to see the blind tea serving earlier in the movie.
The part that I can't stand about this is, all right, he does it for a little bit. He swings in the wrong direction. He gets hit. You know, he's blind. And then he sits down or he kneels down and goes to focus. And he's just looking at his hands.
Like a deranged psychopath.
Like he's never seen them before, but I mean, he can't see them right now. And then there's another, like, just yell of, like, acceptance, I guess?
I don't know. He's looking at his hands like he's fucked up on acid and they're going to attack him.
Yeah.
It's just pure terror. Then it just transitions to rage for some reason.
All in slow motion, because that's what you do, right?
My note here says, so many classic JCVD faces in this scene. It's like his brain went to hell and is now experiencing a spiritual awakening.
And then, as you had mentioned, Chong Li is somehow now bamfed to the other side of him.
He shows up on the complete opposite side of the platform. But yeah, he uses his blind training and eventually chops down Chong Li and gets him to submit, which really is the ultimate way for him to win the fight, is to have the villain quit. Somebody who thought so highly of themselves and thought they were unbeatable, admitting not that they were beaten, but this is the first Westerner to win the tournament. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's kind of heavy-handed, but we then cut to the hospital.
Actually, there's the presentation of the sword. It's not a big deal.
Oh, yeah, that's why I just didn't include it.
Okay.
But yeah, he wins the sword. The one sword that he tried to steal as a child, we get it.
It's symbolic. I understand. You were just trying to cut through the fat.
I just like to talk about Ray in the hospital drinking his beer.
How does he have a beer in the hospital?
I don't know, but it's Ray for you.
Nobody cares.
Ray Jackson, man. Beer drinker. Super stoked to hear about the win, and it really is slamming beers in the hospital.
And then tells Frank, be careful, because maybe you'll face me. It's like, I just told you I beat Chong Li, and he put you in the hospital. Maybe don't be so confident.
Yeah. My next note just says, Frank returns his headband, and the two share a heartfelt goodbye. My problem here, which I told you while we were watching it, is Ray being like, yeah, you beat him. You must have stomped him good. And Jan is like, he actually made him say mate, like quit. If I were Ray, I'd be like, that's all? That's all you did? You made him quit. He put me in the fucking hospital, and you're like, as long as you say I quit, we're good.
I think the understanding is the same that we did. This big bad villain, imagine what would have to happen to him for him to say I quit.
That's fine. Still.
Because
there is a missing weight to that.
You can break his body, but you broke his body and his spirit.
Wise words.
But then, and okay, I like this moment because Frank and Ray essentially tell each other, like, if you ever need me, I'm there for you. But then, like, JCVD's like, I love you, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you guys met 4 days ago.
It's fast-growing friendship, man.
Yes, very fast, yes. They bonded over this secret tournament that nobody knew about.
So very secret. Frank follows up on his word and joins the agents on the flight back to the U.S.
Oh, no, doesn't just join. He's there first.
He's there first. And as he's about to enter the plane, Janice arrives. They acknowledge each other. And then there's the freeze frame with a bit of text, Sandro, that I had to write down. And I'm going to read to you. And then once I'm done, you tell me what the problem is here.
Okay.
This motion picture is based upon the true events in the life of Frank W. Dux. From 1975 to 1980, Frank W. Dux fought 329 matches. He retired undefeated as the world heavyweight full contact Kumite champion. Mr. Dux still holds 4 world records. Fastest knockout, 3.2 seconds. Fastest punch with a knockout, 0.12 seconds. Fastest kick with a knockout, 72 miles per hour. Most consecutive knockouts in a single tournament, 56. Subsequently, Mr. Dux founded the first American ninjutsu system, Dux Ryu. What's the problem here?
All of it?
And why is that?
Well, first of all, mathematically, 56 wins in a row? How many fighters are in these tournaments, and how many years did he do it? I'm not buying this. This is just so fake.
Well, it's well documented that all of this is a lie.
I'm not surprised.
100% a lie. Frank Dux never did anything. It was only in the military for, I think, 2 weeks before being kicked out.
How did he get a movie made about
never
this?
held around. Because he's a convincing liar. And obviously a scriptwriter, because he was saying that the quest was stolen from the Kumite script that he wrote.
This isn't the Kumite script?
Apparently not. I don't know. None of this makes sense to me. But yeah, this is all one big lie. Which is really sad because it really is a fucking amazing movie. It's a really fun story. But yeah, after that, fade to black and roll credits.
I still stand behind my statement that you could just say inspired by true story.
Inspired by a great lie.
Still, inspired. That can mean anything.
Yeah.
Not based.
The true story. Inspired by a true story. The true story is a guy said this.
Yes.
That's the only true part of it.
And I was inspired by it to write this movie. There you go.
So we'll hop right into money.
Okay.
How much do you think this movie cost? It's between this point and this point. I don't have a solid number for you.
It's 1988. None of these actors were big or famous
No,
yet.
it's his breakthrough role.
The sets are all very minimalistic, so $2 million.
1.5 to 2.3, somewhere in there.
Yeah, really, where would the money have gone?
Yeah. How much do you think it made?
24?
Double that plus 2.
Oof, that's a success.
Yeah. That no wonder that they were just shoving him in movie after this came out. The ratings are pretty much exactly where I expect them to be.
6 out of 10s? 7 out of 10s?
Around there, yeah. Like IMDb, 6.8.
6.8. Anything between 6 and 7, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
And the audience score for Rotten Tomatoes, I know we do Tomato Meter first, but yeah, audience score 74.
Okay.
Yep. What do you think the Tomato Meter is, though, for the critics?
Oh, whenever you say that, it's almost like it's going to be outlandish.
I don't know. I think this is definitely appropriately critiqued.
64.
Switch those numbers around.
46.
46.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, not the best. But I mean, it's just an 80s fucking martial arts movie. You're not going to get a lot more than that. But I guess now, let's get into awards before we start talking about how we really feel. But what did good old Derek have to say?
All right. So for Derek's least favorite performance, he had Hussein, just a dirtbag. Not so likable, but maybe he played his part well then.
I think he was fine. I detested him.
I mean, he tried to essentially tell a woman he's going to rape her.
Yeah.
So...
least favorite character for sure.
Is that who you had? 'Cause
No.
You're next.
No. For me, Frank Dux.
Okay. Didn't you have Jean-Claude Van Damme when did the Universal Soldier too?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But the character sucks. And he was not really he didn't have a lot of acting experience behind him at this point. And he shines at times in this movie. Yes, I can't say he doesn't. But I don't care about the Frank Dux character whatsoever. I more want to see what happens with Ray Jackson. I want to see more about Lynn. Give me more. Lynn seems like a wicked character. I'd love to know more about him. Give me more of the agents. They're having a fucking blast the whole time. I mean, the characters are pointless, but it was just two buddy agents trying to catch this guy who escaped the military base, who's entered himself into a secret. I don't know if you know that, a secret martial arts tournament. That sounds fucking hilarious. I'd love to watch that. But I just don't like Frank Dux. You?
How ridiculous do you want me to get? How Sandro should this answer be?
100%.
So, going full out ridiculous Sandro, it's Bolo Yang as Chong Li, And it's because every time he won, he did this cheering motion with his arms, like he had too much muscle to bring them down to his body.
Well, his pecs got in the way.
Looked like a child throwing a tantrum instead of a cheer, that I couldn't stand looking at it. And that's why he's the worst character.
Okay. He also does that annoying, like, pec flex.
Now, if you want me to be less Sandro about the answer, it's because this dude kills people.
That's a reason not to like someone, I guess.
But I asked, how Sandro do you want the explanation to be?
Yeah.
And that asshole's ability to get into reflections.
Yeah, he's magic. He's entered the dream world.
Just stay off my public transit windows, jerk.
What did Derek have for favorite character?
Okay, so he had favorite was JCVD.
He's not a character.
Cool, calm, perfect mix.
Because he doesn't know his lines.
Lover to dream killer.
Oh my god.
So gifted. JCVD may be the Jordan of martial arts movies, which is an amazing line for him to write as the LBJ witness, because, yes, MJ is better. But that is his answer. I can see you are contemplating what you want to say in regards to that.
I think I'm going to bite my tongue.
Okay.
I'm just going to not say anything more.
So I go first between you and I.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% confident that you and I are both going to say the same person. So I'll just say it for us. It's Ray Jackson. Donald Gibb as Ray Jackson is...
knocked it out of the park.
So much fun, charismatic, having a blast, looks the part.
Yeah.
Right? He's like 1988 Braun Strowman.
Yeah, he's so convincing in the role, too. You look at him and you're like, this guy's terrifying. And as soon as he opens his mouth, you're like, I want to be his friend.
Yeah. I would especially want to be his friend. Because I'd rather he's on my side of the room than the other side.
Definitely. Dude's just breaking bricks on his forehead.
You know, he did that to set up the breaking of the brick. He knew he wasn't going to get the bottom one. He just wanted to throw them off.
Definitely.
So who did you have?
Young Frank Dux.
Not a chance.
No, obviously Ray Jackson.
No, my favorite character was the essence of the secret to the tournament.
The mystery.
Yes. So for Derek's favorite or most memorable line, he had a line that you mentioned, and is probably a contender for many people. Jackson, aren't you a little young for full contact? Frank replies, aren't you a little old for video games?
Yeah, that's mine.
And Derek actually gave us a little bit more here. As we know, we love games, so it's like touche, perfect friendship.
Yeah, it's the perfect way to set up that relationship between the two of them.
It's actually not my favorite line, though. It was in contention for it, but it's not mine. I guess I don't need to ask you, as you clearly just said, that's also yours.
Yeah.
But mine is when Ray walks in on Frank doing the splits, and he just looks in the door, and he's like, that hurts me just looking at it.
Yeah, that was good.
And then he says to him a little bit later after jumping on the bed and telling him, like, hey, Earth to Frank. He says, you might want to, you'd better stop doing that. You might want to have kids one day.
Yeah. I loved his infatuation with like what was happening there. He just couldn't wrap his head around it.
But there's so many times where that's the Ray character. He's observing things that Frank does, and at first he's like confused and astounded, and then he's just like, yeah, all right, that's Frank.
Yeah. So accepting.
Yep, totally fine.
What do we have for a memorable scene?
Okay. He's got a lot written down here, so I'm going to read it all, and then you can decipher from it what you want. So many. JCVD splits an uppercut. The whole blinded scene. So many of Chong Li's finishes. Okay. That's a little telling about you, buddy.
Yeah.
But I will have to go with when JCVD was instructed to break the bottom brick, and he did it.
The dim back.
Let's go! That's what he wrote, so.
I mean, he sounds amped up, which is great. I love that energy.
He loves the movie.
Yeah, good.
No question about it. So for me, for favorite scene, because I didn't want to pick it for just favorite line, because I love the entire scene, it's them meeting and playing the video games. And it's not just Like, the line is great, and I could have put it down for the best line. It's absolutely a contender. But there is a lot to that scene, where even he's just like, hey, you want to give it a shot? Frank's very eager. He's like, oh, I'll give it a try. There's a little bit of bonding there when they're like, oh, you want to give it another go? There's Ray subtly suggesting that he might be there for the Kumite, and Frank
suggesting. I'm with you.
But it's just a really good meeting, and it's actually emphasized to me by the fact that prior to that, they kind of subverted my expectation, making me think that Ray was going to be a villain.
Yeah.
Because now, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, there's just this fun-loving, big oaf of a good guy.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite scene.
My most memorable scene is definitely going to be the Frank and Chong Li fight.
Okay. The entirety of it, or just the blind
part,
or
the post-blinding?
Okay, post-blinding.
But
okay.
And I already said it's my favorite martial arts scene, non-Bruce Lee.
Okay.
My most memorable scene of the movie, though, is the same as yours. Just those two meeting.
Okay.
Like, it's such a perfect setup that makes you care so much about a character that you know nothing about. I love it. And, like, I will never claim JCVD is a great actor, but he acts this scene out very well. And Donald Gibb right next to him, it's a perfect back and forth. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
And it's believable, too.
It is believable.
It is. It really is. The way it doesn't feel forced. It's, they happen to just get together and have a little bit of fun and kind of break the ice with a video game. Right?
I just want to say one more note. I forgot when we were talking about how the whole thing is fabricated.
Okay.
I took this from, I think, IMDb, so grain of salt, but I believe it. The movie was touted as a true story, but doubts have arisen about its veracity. Most martial arts enthusiasts view his accounts of competing in secret tournaments as complete fiction, along with his claims that he was an undercover CIA operative. Some have pointed out that nobody else has come forward to confirm his story about competing in secret tournaments, or told their own version. It is now generally accepted that the real Frank Dux lied his way into Hollywood. Records obtained through the Freedom of Information Act show he was only in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve and was never posted overseas, let alone to Southeast Asia, where, as he has claimed, CIA has no record of ever working with them. His personal brand of martial arts, Dux Ryu Ninjutsu, is a complete fabrication, and Frank Dux has likely never won or ever competed in a single martial arts tournament. Based on a true story.
And now we know why they could never establish why the military was so keen on getting Dux back. Because there wasn't a reason.
We need to kill this motherfucker. He's spreading too many lies.
There is this crazy man going around telling people about a secret tournament that's so secret that it doesn't exist. We need
the only
to
reason
stop
it's secret? It's not true.
That's
not fucking true.
All right.
Overall.
So final thoughts. I kind of get the feeling that we're also in agreement here. But what did you think of this movie?
It's fucking fantastic.
Okay.
I love it. It's so much fun. I haven't watched it in so many years, but I have watched the shit out of the tape. I actually wore out a VHS of that movie. I loved watching it so much. It's really nice to revisit so many years later. And the fact that I still love it as much today as I did back then shows how much fun that movie can be. Acting, it's 1988 action movie. What do you expect? The action, phenomenal though, because again, late 80s action movie. You know what you're getting. It's not trying to be anything it isn't, other than about a secret martial arts tournament. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. And like we always talk about it, it's a great one to watch with friends, or you should watch it alone. But you just fucking watch it. It's a blast. I love it. You?
It's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. Like if I owned a VHS of it, I don't think I'm wearing it out. That being said, there's no denying that it is a blast to watch. To say that this movie is fun to watch is such a compliment, considering how many plot holes there are, how many issues there are with it, how poor some of the acting is. If it can overcome all of that and still deliver an overall package that is just a blast to watch, that's a win in my books.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of martial arts or just 80s action movies, there is no reason to not give this one a view.
Agreed.
All right, so that was our thoughts on Bloodsport. If you guys want to share your thoughts with us, you can always hit us up on social media. We are on Twitter at BSBargainBin, Facebook.com/BSBargainBin, BSBargainBin.com. And of course, we encourage you to use the comment section of the YouTube video. Getting through that a lot faster these days. So that was our September fan pick. What follows our September fan pick is the Sandro pick.
Very, very curious.
Now, what we're going to be watching next week is not another action movie, my friend.
We've been doing a lot.
We have been doing a lot, and I did joke about it a little bit that maybe my pick will be a horror movie.
I find that hard to believe, but okay.
And it's because of one reason only. So next week, we're going to be watching, featuring Thomas Ian Griffith, John Carpenter's Vampires.
Fuck yeah! I can't wait to talk about that shit, man.
Have you ever seen a vampire? Forget whatever you've seen in the movies. It's not like they're seducing everybody in sight with cheesy Euro trash accents, all right? They don't turn into bats. Crosses don't work. You want to kill one, you drive a wooden stake right through his heart. We think we got a nest inside this place. And chances are we'll find a master in here somewhere.
I know your parents were bitten by vampires and you were raised by the church to be its master slayer.
No one knows vampires better than he does.
Open wide, baby.
But he met his match when he met the master who started it all, Jack Crow.
He was a priest. It's the first known case of vampirism.
The first and most powerful. You are the only one who faced Alec and survived.
A master vampire has a telepathic link with his victims. You're gonna help us find them.
It's a cross.
For 600 years, Valak has wanted to live in the daylight. A master vampire able to walk in the sun, unstoppable.
Biggest nest of blood-drinking mothers the world has ever known. Time to kill some vampires.
It's right behind us! Come on, come on!
You can't kill me. James Woods. From the master of terror comes a new breed of evil. John Carpenter's Vampires.
You never told me they could do that.
I didn't know they could do that.
Until next week, have a good one.
All the best.